Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Ink Reader. I am gonna do a list today. I've recently put on my channel a video which is called What Kind of Reader I Am, in which I explain basically what I tend to read mostly. And I'm gonna link that down below for you to check it out. And in that video, spoiler, I say that basically I don't tend to read many classics. But while I was doing that, while I was actually saying that, I just realized that this year I've read a classic. I read a couple of classics this year. Some were a disaster, while some others I absolutely loved. I realized that there are classics out there, that there are classics, yes, for a reason, but they're also very accessible. And so I've compiled a list of classics that I am looking forward to actually read. Does this mean I'm gonna go and purchase all the classics on this list and just read classics from now on? No, absolutely not. It just means that I am gonna try and integrate them and acquire them when I can, so I can actually go through them. In a few weeks time, toward the end of the year, I will put up a video of what's happening next year regarding my TBRs, what I'm gonna do. So it might happen that basically next year I happen to read more classics, but you get to know how and why when I do that video. But basically, yes, it's just a classic that I'm very interested in reading. Did I went and researched all classics ever written? No, I just went on a list on 100 classics that you should read, and I picked the ones that I'm actually interested in. I have also noticed, because I've DNF'd Paradise Lost by John Milton earlier in the year, that if it's in prose, I should definitely read this in my native language, which is Italian. I've tried in English, which is very contrite, like it's very difficult for me to read this in like ancient English or like in prose in English. And I attempt again Paradise Lost but in Italian, and maybe I can get through it, because in English there was no way I could do it. Let me say this at the beginning that I am definitely gonna read sooner or later the complete works of William Shakespeare. I mean, all Shakespeare's play, but I'm not a big fan of plays, and I want to give this a try sooner or later, but I'm not, like, I might try one and then see how it goes. So it's like, it wasn't in the original list, but it's definitely something that I want to read sooner or later. I own it, I'll get around to it, basically, so don't come for me, okay? I will read Shakespeare, I will. So the first one comes from the fact that I loved Dumas' writing so much. So I've read the Count of Monte Cristo, and I absolutely loved his writing. I think that, like, for someone who writes such chunky books, his writing is so accessible, and I definitely want to check out more about him. And I've watched the movies before, so I'm very intrigued to read The Three Musketeers. I just think it's going to be very fun overall. And although I've watched the movies before, as I said, I have no idea actually of the plot. I've watched them many years ago, so it's going to be kind of completely new, but I really know I like his writing, so I know this is probably going to be a win. Then Jane Eyre, of course, this is by Charlotte Bronte, and I have to say that because I went to school in Italy, so my high school, and I've actually done a year of university studies in Italy where I was going through a lot of literature in Italian, I am more familiar with Italian classics, so I've read them, but I've not read the staple English-British classics. So I've not read Jane Eyre or pretty much any of the staple classics that if you have gone to school in England you probably have to read for school or for literature degree and so on. So first of all, like, I love these kind of pages. I don't know, people tend to hate them. I love them. Like, if I see them, I just definitely go for them. And this is Jane Eyre. Everybody knows what it's about. I have a hint of what this is about, but I actually kind of never got too much spoiled about the plot itself. I've read that some people love this. It's their favorite classics. Let's see. I have to say also that as of now in my list, Price and Prejudice is not in the list, not because I've actually read it, but because I've watched the movie multiple times, and I like the movie. I'm just like, I know the content so much that as of now I wouldn't put this in the top list of classics that I want to read. I prefer reading things that I don't know what to expect, I don't know the plot pretty much, and because Pride and Prejudice, I've seen it, I know what to expect. So I will definitely probably read it one day, but it's not in this list now. But now the next one I've actually owned. It's in my next book haul that's coming in some weeks, so it's in there, so I don't want to spoil anything from the book haul. So I have it, bites downstairs. And this is Withering Heights, and I don't know anything about this book. Like, I've heard about this book millions of times, and I think I read snippets when I was in high school in English for my English course. Like, I do know the theme, and you know that I know it's very dark and it's very gloomy and it's not a happy story at all. But I don't actually know precisely the plot or how it will end. So I'm definitely curious to read this. Lord of the Flies, again, this doesn't sound like the kind of plot I might enjoy. However, recently I've read a couple of books that are not based or anything, but they got a kind of similar premise, and I ended up really enjoying that. And also, like, this is one that said, you know, this is what started the trend, and so I was curious actually when I read the synopsis of this to just give it a try. Let's see if I like it or if I hate it. I think it's very divisive one. People love it or people hate it. One that I am actually thinking I'm gonna really enjoy is 100 Years of Solitude. And I don't know why, I think this is a very lengthy kind of a family saga. I might be completely wrong, but I think it also takes place during plague, during a war. And it's just a premise that really appeals to me, and so I'm really looking forward to reading these. I'm always looking in charity shops or on Amazon for pretty editions, because especially for classics, like, I like to have pretty editions of it. The Grapes of Wrath, another one that sounds like I could really potentially enjoy this a lot. Don't know anything about the plot apart of like one thing, which is not enough for me to say that I know the plot. So I'm definitely curious to read these. Beloved by Toni Morrison. I've seen this book going around a lot. I found this on a lot of lists of very accessible and amazing classics. I've seen this on booktubers list where, if you know, you should read these 100 books in your lifetime, and a lot of the times this is in there. So again, it's one that I don't know the plot, which is perfect because I like to go in my classic without knowing the plot. So well rated and appreciated by everybody that, I mean, hopefully, finger crossed, I will love it too. One that actually piqued my interest because I was looking picking classics to read for my book club that I'm hosting. It's Wild Sargasso Sea, and this is one that I've never seen it on BookTube or on Goodreads or anything of the sort. But when I looked at the synopsis, which I don't remember it now because, yeah, I'm getting old, I guess. But anyway, when I looked at the synopsis and the review for this were amazing, and it sounds like I'm curious to see, because this is a classic, but it's not as well known as other classics. And I just want to read it and decide if it's like a hidden gem or if there is a reason why it's not as famous as the others. Brave New World. This one I initially didn't put in my list, and then I kept seeing it and I was like, maybe I should give it a try. It sounds like it's a dystopian sci-fi, and the synopsis doesn't appeal to me too much, but I do recognize that I started a trend of books and a genre that I'm getting to appreciate it more lately, that I read much about in the past, and I just want to know where it all started. A lot of people love these. I think it's at least worth a try. I Capture the Castle. Some of these are considered modern classics as well. I just put them all together, to be fair. So they're not only like classic, staple, ancient classic, if it makes sense. And I love the premise. I don't know much about it, but when I read the synopsis for these, I was like, it sounds like right up my alley. It sounds like one that I'm probably very interested in. By the way, I'm not going through the synopsis of these because I guess a lot of the people will know the synopsis for the classics. I will definitely go into the synopsis role when I wrap up them throughout, you know, the months and whatever. Tess of Iduberville, and I was about to give you a synopsis, but then I stopped. First of all, I just wanted to show you that I do know some synopsis and some of the general plot of these books, just to show off. But then I realized that I just said that I was not gonna give you any synopsis, so that would be contradicting myself way too fast. Anyway, Tess of Iduberville, I'm really looking forward to this. I got a feeling though that's a mammoth of a book, so I'm a bit scared, but it also sounds very interesting. I might ask my book club if we want to give it a try and see how that goes down. One that I will definitely love, and I'm actually waiting to watch the movie. I know I've not watched the movie of these, don't come for me. I know, I'm just waiting to read the book first, okay? And I actually have it. I actually own some of these books, but they might be too high and I need to actually get like a chair or something to reach them, and then I realized that I'm too lazy today to do it. I'm about to do a late shift for work, not looking forward to that. I hate late shifts. I'm filming this in a rush as always, so forgive me, but yes, also I'm definitely lazy. I have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I need to read these again. I love these kind of pages, and I mean, I love it. This is what I mean when I'm looking for, like, when I purchase a classic or a modern classic, I look for like very weird covers if I can get my hands on them. I think they're gonna, like, I'm not gonna sell them as I might do with other books if I don't like them, and I like to display them, and I think it's just, I don't know, I think because of classic they got so many editions that you have more choices of kind of cover you can get, so I'm always hunting for like the cover I love the most, and I absolutely love this. I need to read this because I definitely want to watch the movie. I mean, the movie is a staple and I love movies, so I am ashamed of myself, but I'm gonna get around to read that, I promise. This is happening actually probably, hopefully very soon. 1984, another one that I'm actually, like, I loved Animal Farm, really liked it. I get why it's one of the best ending sentences, I mean, one of the best sentences to end the book. I loved it, and I definitely want to read more by Orwell. It's just that 1984 is such a famous book by him, but it's a dystopian which I don't really enjoy much, so I decided to put this on the list though, because I guess it might be like, I need to give this man a chance. Like, I think if there is a dystopian that I might like, it could be this. The premise doesn't appeal to me too much, I guess because by now we have seen this kind of premise done and redone again and again. That's why probably I'm not leaning toward this, but I think it's one that once I force myself to read it, I actually end up very much appreciating. So I will read this, I promise. Middlemarch. I don't know anything about this. I just read a couple of sentences of a synopsis, looked at the cover, looked at a couple of reviews, and like, this sounds something that I might actually enjoy. Another one, Vanity Fair, and this is just a classic that I heard about this a bunch of times, and I could never classify this, like, what is this, like, what kind of classic, what kind of story is it? And I decided that the synopsis was very vague when I went and looked at it. You know what, let's read it for yourself. It's, then, very famous journal was created with the same name. I don't know if it's related or not. I'm gonna find out, I guess. The Outsider, and it's very short, and I think it's marketed as the first YA. It's a classic YA, but in the genre was like one of the first that was classified by the media, I don't know, in general, the publishers, as YA, so young adult. And I don't know anything about the synopsis of these, but again, so short that there isn't really no excuse. The next one is probably the one that I might, in all likelihood, gonna DNF. Like, it's the only one that I think, like, I want to put this in the list. I'm really intrigued by this, but even when you read the synopsis, it's like, it's saying not too many words that this is a difficult book to get through. And considering how I struggle with, for example, prose, and considering that I consider that people who have done literature degrees, I've heard them struggling through this book, and they're used to read classics, I'm like, I'm gonna attempt this, but there is a high chance that I'm gonna fail. I'll be really honest. And this, the Ulysses by James Joyce. Yeah, it's I'll try, okay? I'll do my best. East of Eden, don't know anything about the synopsis of these. I'll be really honest, I've seen the covers, read a couple of sentences of synopsis, I was hooked. I mean, it sounds like, I love the title. I don't know why, I love the title. I'm gonna try. Orlando by Virginia Woolf. This is actually a book that I had researched and put on my list when I presented the next choices to my book club, and I was actually very eager to read these. We ended up reading another book, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, I love that other book. But anyway, you know what I mean. I was still very eager to read these, but I tend to present fresh choices by month, so I couldn't present this again to the book club. But it stuck with me, it stuck in my mind. I do want to read these. I'm definitely gonna purchase these. There are lovely covers out there for these, so this is happening for sure. Tropic of Cancer, this is definitely a more modern classic for what I am aware of. Don't know anything about the synopsis. There was a justification for me doing this list. It means that I have read the synopsis. It just means that right now I don't remember them. But when I did filling this list, which was a few weeks ago, I did find myself intrigued with them, okay? So I'm gonna try this. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The synopsis doesn't appeal to me too much compared to other classics in this list, for example. But first of all, I had found this in a perfect condition in a charity shop. Love the cover. It's a dystopian. There is a lot of moral content behind this, a lot of denouncement. Like, yes, it's a fictional book, but I think it takes a lot of element and you can recognize issues that are ongoing now in today's society. Compared to this, I've read that it's very relatable in the sense that, although it's fiction again, you could still say, well, this is actually a true problem that we are going through. So although the synopsis, the dystopian aspect doesn't appeal to me, I've heard amazing things. I own it. It's one of those that it's likely that by the end of it, I'm going to be grateful that I read it. Will I ever try the TV show? Listen, there is Rory Gilmore, and I know she's not really called as Rory, but Gilmore Girls are like, it's a staple of my teenagehood and childhood. So for me, she's always gonna be Rory, and I'm always gonna be intrigued to watch something she's done. So let's see if I love this, and if I like it, I might give the series a try. Of Mice and Men, another one that I was initially not interested in, but then I grew more convinced with the passing of time, because I just kept seeing that, I kept hearing people explaining why they loved it. So again, it's something that I might at least wanna attempt. One that I am likely to love, as considering that my favorite classics so far are Dracula and Frankenstein, I guess this is definitely one that I need to get my hands on very quickly, and it's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll Mr Hyde. I mean, listen, when I was a teen, I loved the movie The League of Extraordinary Men. I think it was called like that. In Italian it's a bit different, but I guess in English that's the title. I love the movie. I've watched that movie a million times. I will probably rewatch it another million times. It was critiqued a lot. I don't care. I love the movie. So since then, I've always been fascinated with all the creatures that were in there. Dorian Gray I've already read, and a bunch of others I'm already familiar with. But I've never read Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde, and I need to. I'm just like, I'm gonna love this. I highly doubt I won't, and I hope I just didn't jinx myself. The War of the World. I don't know, this sounds like a sci-fi. This is another one that I got convinced to read, and I say I'm gonna attempt it. It doesn't appeal to me as much because of the genre that it sits in, but compared to all the other classics that I discarded, it's like, no, I'm not doing it. This is one that I still said, let me put it in the list and let's give it a try. So it's still in the list. And finally, A Clockwork Orange. Now, yes, I bought this book because of the cover, and I also bought this book despite the fact that I do not like the movie. I watched the movie though 10 years ago, and I need to rewatch it. Probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the book and then rewatch the movie and see if I appreciate it now. I think back then it was very shocking for me. I was young back then, and I didn't like the atmosphere or the brutality of it. I don't know, something disturbed me, which I guess is the point. I want to watch it again after reading the book and see what I think. I guess back then I didn't know what to expect, and now probably I will, and I might appreciate other things of it. And that's it. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know if you've read, probably like a majority of people usually have read some of these. I'm way behind with classics. So if you are any of these that you particularly like, let me know, because I'm definitely, the list is long and I need to know what to prioritize or what to purchase before. So if you got any of these that you have read and loved, do let me know for sure, and I might, follow your advice and prioritize them. But thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Ciao.